The border of human space was quiet. 4 years, nothing strange had happened there. Small colonies lived in peace, mining ships moved from planet to planet, and the defense satellites kept silent watch. People had started to believe that the universe was calm. But tonight, something moved in the dark. A shadow drifted across the stars, too large and too silent to be natural. It was the fleet of the Draxian Empire. The Draxians were old and cruel. They had conquered weaker races before, enslaved entire worlds, and never faced real resistance. To them, humans were just another young species, unprepared and soft. They crossed into human territory without fear. Their ships were black and sharp like blades, engines humming low as they slipped past the edge of human radar. The Draxian commander spoke in a cold voice, telling his soldiers that the conquest would be fast, that humans would kneel just like all the others. They laughed in their strange alien language, already tasting victory before the battle had even begun. Far away, in a lonely outpost near the border, 3 human technicians sat at their consoles. The night shift was always slow, and they often passed the hours with stories or jokes. But then, one of the screens flickered. A signal appeared, faint at first but growing stronger. It was not a starship code they recognized. It was something else. The youngest technician frowned and tapped the console, trying to clear the interference. The signal grew louder, more steady. It was coming from deep space, moving fast, heading straight into human territory. He called his superior officer, and soon the room filled with tense voices. The computers tried to scan the object, but the results were confusing. Too many ships, too much strange metal. This was no trading fleet. This was something dangerous. Before they could send a full report, the outpost shook. A bright flash lit the screens. The technicians screamed as alarms rang out across the station. The signal had arrived, and it was not alone. The Draxians opened fire without warning, their energy weapons tearing through the outpost's shields like paper. Human defenses fired back, but they were weak, small guns against massive alien warships. The technicians tried to send one last message, a desperate warning to Earth. Their voices broke with fear. The last transmission was filled with static and shouting. Then silence. The outpost was gone, nothing left but burning wreckage spinning in the void. On the bridge of the Draxian flagship, the commander watched the destruction with calm eyes. He spoke again to his soldiers, saying that humans were even weaker than expected. They would fall easily, just another name in the long list of conquered peoples. His fleet moved forward, deeper into human space. Their confidence was complete. To them, this was not war. This was a hunt. But far away, the signal did reach someone. A patrol ship on routine duty picked up the dying message from the outpost. The crew listened in silence as the recording played. Static, screams, then nothing. The captain clenched his fists. He ordered the ship to full alert. Reports were sent to Earth immediately, though he knew the message might arrive too late. Something powerful had crossed the border. Something that wanted war. The patrol ship changed course, moving carefully toward the wreckage site. As they approached, the crew saw the remains of the outpost floating in the dark. Pieces of metal, shattered modules, drifting bodies of their own people. The sight filled the ship with anger and fear. This was no accident. This was an attack. The captain whispered to himself, if they wanted to scare us, they made a mistake. Humans don't run. Yet in that moment, none of them knew how large the threat truly was. None of them knew that an entire alien fleet was pushing forward, planning to strike more colonies, planning to test Earth itself. The universe felt suddenly smaller, the stars no longer safe. The silence of space was broken, and the shadow of war was rising. In the darkness, the Draxian ships continued their advance. They spoke of victory as if it was already written, as if humans were nothing but prey. But they did not know the truth. Humans were not prey. Humans were survivors. And soon, Earth would answer. The patrol ship moved carefully through the empty silence of space. The wreckage of the destroyed outpost drifted around them like a graveyard, broken pieces of steel turning slowly in the starlight. The crew watched in silence. Some of them clenched their fists, some whispered prayers, but no one looked away. They all knew the same truth. This was not an accident. Something had come into human space, and it had come with violence. The captain stood tall on the bridge, his face hard with anger. He ordered the scanners to sweep the area again and again. At first, the machines showed nothing but debris, but then a strange energy signature appeared at the edge of their sensors. It was powerful, stronger than anything human ships normally produced. The crew held their breath. The signature was moving. It was not human. The patrol ship followed the signal at a safe distance, trying not to be seen. Soon, they saw shapes against the stars, large and sharp, ships that looked alive and dangerous. Alien ships. The crew stared, their eyes wide with fear and awe. This was the first time any of them had ever seen a real alien fleet. The Draxians did not hide themselves. They moved forward with arrogance, their weapons ready, their formation tight. It was a fleet built for war, not peace. The patrol crew whispered among themselves, realizing that humanity was facing an enemy far stronger than pirates or rebels. This was something greater, something deadly. The captain knew his small patrol ship had no chance against such power. But he also knew they had a duty. They had to learn as much as possible. They had to send proof back to Earth before it was too late. He ordered the ship to stay hidden in the shadow of an asteroid, watching the alien fleet pass. The tension on the bridge grew with every second. The crew knew that if the aliens detected them, they would not survive. The alien ships were larger, faster, and far better armed. Yet the humans stayed, recording every detail. On the alien flagship, the Draxian commander walked through his bridge with calm steps. He did not worry about humans. He believed they were weak creatures, too young and too simple to fight back. To him, this invasion was nothing more than routine. His officers reported the destruction of the outpost and the lack of resistance. They laughed, saying that the humans would soon beg for mercy. The commander only nodded, his eyes fixed on the star maps showing the next human colony. He ordered his fleet to prepare for the strike. Back on the patrol ship, the captain finally decided it was time to move. He could not risk being seen any longer. He ordered the engines to light up quietly, pushing the ship away from the asteroid. The message had already been sent to Earth, carrying the evidence of the alien fleet. But the humans were not lucky. One of the alien ships suddenly changed direction, its sensors sweeping wide. For a moment, the humans thought they had escaped. Then alarms rang out across the patrol ship. The aliens had seen them. The alien vessel turned and accelerated with frightening speed. The patrol ship's captain shouted for evasive maneuvers, and the ship jumped forward, engines burning bright. The chase began. The alien ship fired first, beams of energy cutting through space, barely missing the patrol ship's hull. The humans returned fire with railguns, but their shots bounced harmlessly against the alien armor. The crew realized how outmatched they were. Their ship shook with every near hit, warning lights flashing red. The captain knew they would not last long. Still, he refused to give up. He told his crew that survival was not their only mission. Their real mission was to delay the enemy, to buy Earth more time. If they could keep the aliens busy even for a few minutes, it might make a difference. His words filled the crew with courage. They fought harder, dodging, firing, doing everything they could to resist. The alien commander grew annoyed at their stubbornness. To him, humans should have already surrendered, but instead, they kept fighting. He ordered his ship to finish the battle quickly. The patrol ship took heavy damage. Hull plates cracked, smoke filled the corridors, and the engines began to fail. The crew held on, their hands gripping their stations. At last, the captain gave the final order. He commanded the crew to abandon ship. Escape pods launched into the void, scattering into the dark. The captain stayed behind, guiding the damaged patrol ship straight toward the alien vessel. The humans watching from the pods saw their captain's ship burn brighter and brighter as it pushed forward. Then came the final moment. The patrol ship rammed into the alien vessel with a blinding flash. The explosion tore through space, damaging the enemy ship. For the first time, the Draxians realized that humans were willing to die fighting. The alien vessel limped back to its fleet, damaged but not destroyed. The commander was silent now, no longer laughing. He whispered to himself that humans might not be as weak as he thought. Meanwhile, the escape pods drifted through the darkness. The survivors floated in silence, their eyes filled with grief but also determination. They had lost their captain, but his sacrifice had sent a message louder than words. Humans would not kneel. Humans would resist. Far away on Earth, the warning had arrived. Leaders gathered in secret rooms, listening to the broken message of the patrol ship. The alien threat was real, and it was coming fast. The human council understood that the peace of their colonies was over. War was at their door. But Earth was not afraid. Earth remembered its history. And Earth would answer. The warning from the patrol ship reached Earth after long hours of silence. At first, the message was broken and full of static, but the words inside it were enough to shake the Council of the Human Federation. Alien fleet sighted. Outpost destroyed. Enemy powerful. The leaders sat in a wide chamber, their faces pale under the lights, their voices tense as they argued. Some said it was too late, that Earth was not ready for a war against a species with such advanced weapons. Others slammed their hands on the table, shouting that humans had survived worse dangers in their own history and that surrender was not an option. The room filled with noise, but when the chairman stood, silence returned. He reminded everyone that humanity had always been underestimated. Long ago, stronger nations had tried to crush weaker ones, but humans had fought back. On Earth, they had faced world wars, plagues, disasters, and yet they had always risen again. If aliens thought humans were weak, then they were about to learn a mistake. In military headquarters deep beneath the surface of Earth, commanders studied the recordings from the patrol ship. The images of alien vessels filled the screens. Long black ships with glowing weapons, metal that seemed impossible to crack, and engines that moved faster than anything humans had built. Engineers shook their heads in disbelief, but one of them smiled. He said that even if the aliens were stronger, humans had something they never expected. Humans had creativity, surprise, and the will to fight with everything they had. The generals agreed. They could not meet the alien ship for ship, but they could make the galaxy their battlefield. Traps, stealth, and strategy would be their answer. Factories across Earth were ordered to full production. Shipyards on the Moon and Mars began building new warships at a speed never seen before. Old prototypes that had been locked away were brought back, tested, and armed. Drones were awakened from storage, AI defense systems turned online, and hidden railgun platforms on asteroids were powered up. Earth had been peaceful for many years, but behind that peace, they had never forgotten how to prepare for war. Soldiers trained day and night, pilots studied new tactics, and scientists worked without sleep to design weapons that could surprise even the most advanced enemies. The entire planet seemed to move with one heart, one purpose: survival. Among the leaders there was no illusion that this would be easy. The Draxian Empire was far larger and older. They had fought wars across the galaxy and crushed many civilizations. But that very arrogance would become their weakness. They believed humans were prey. That belief would blind them. Earth's commanders decided that the first strike must not be to destroy but to mislead. They would let the aliens think they were winning, and then strike when the enemy felt most confident. Meanwhile, news of the attack began to spread among the people. Families in the cities, miners on Mars, scientists on the orbital stations, all heard that aliens had destroyed a human outpost and hunted down a patrol ship. Fear filled many hearts, but fear did not break them. Instead, anger rose like a storm. Ordinary citizens volunteered for service, engineers offered to build weapons without pay, and entire communities promised support. The spirit of humanity was alive. People whispered to one another that if the aliens wanted a fight, they would learn the meaning of Earth's revenge. In space, the first moves of the plan were already in motion. A small fleet of stealth ships left orbit, their hulls covered with new experimental coating that bent light and heat, making them nearly invisible. These ships carried advanced tracking devices and powerful missiles designed to pierce even alien armor. They would watch the enemy, follow them, and strike when the time was right. Other fleets positioned themselves near colonies that were likely targets. Hidden bunkers were built on moons, ready to release swarms of drones the moment an alien fleet came close. Every defense was layered like a trap waiting to spring. Inside a secret war room, the human commander of the defense forces stood over a holographic map of the solar system. His officers gathered around him. He told them that this war would not be about pride, it would be about survival. But survival meant fighting with every trick, every trap, and every ounce of human courage. His words were calm but strong. He said the aliens believed this was their hunt, but soon it would be their nightmare. The officers nodded. They knew the first real clash was coming. Out in deep space, the Draxian fleet continued to move forward. Their commander planned the next attack, certain that humans would collapse after just a few battles. He did not know that Earth had already begun to prepare. He did not know that humans had teeth, sharper than he imagined. He did not know that even now, in the silence between stars, human eyes were watching him. The stage was set. The enemy had crossed into human territory. The outpost was gone, the patrol ship lost, and the first blood had been spilled. But Earth had answered. Quietly, steadily, with rage burning beneath the surface, humanity had chosen its path. There would be no surrender. There would be no fear. When the aliens came again, they would not find weak prey. They would find hunters waiting in the dark. And for the first time in their long history of conquest, the Draxians would feel what it meant to face Earth's revenge. The Draxian fleet advanced deeper into human space, their engines glowing like knives in the night. They had chosen their next target, a mining colony orbiting a cold red star. The colony was small, filled with workers and families, not soldiers. To the aliens, it seemed an easy prize. They believed a quick strike would spread fear across human territory and prove to Earth that resistance was useless. The Draxian commander stood on his bridge, confident as always. His voice carried no doubt when he told his crew that humans were soft, that they would scream and run, that conquest was already certain. His officers laughed, believing the same lie they had told themselves for centuries. They did not know they were flying into a trap. The colony looked quiet when the aliens arrived. Lights glowed from the stations, mining drones drifted across the asteroid fields, and civilian ships moved slowly in orbit. Everything appeared normal, weak, and unprotected. The Draxians prepared to attack, their weapons charging with deadly power. They broadcast a signal demanding surrender, mocking the humans, telling them to kneel or be destroyed. But there was no reply. Silence greeted them. The commander grew impatient. He ordered the first volley. Alien cannons fired, beams of energy cutting through space, striking at the colony below. Explosions ripped across the surface, dust and fire rising high. The aliens laughed again, believing they had won. But then something changed. From beneath the colony's crust, hidden doors opened. Huge turrets rose into the light, their barrels glowing as they charged. The mining drones suddenly changed course, revealing that they were not ordinary machines but reprogrammed war drones. Civilian ships dropped their disguise, panels opening to reveal missile pods. Within seconds, the quiet colony transformed into a fortress. The first shots from the hidden turrets slammed into the alien fleet, tearing shields apart and blasting through armor. Missiles streaked across space, slamming into targets with deadly precision. The Draxians shouted in shock, their voices filled with disbelief. They had not expected resistance. They had not expected this. Before the aliens could regroup, a second wave of human forces arrived. From behind the asteroids, stealth ships decloaked, their hulls shining as they unleashed a storm of railgun fire. Drones poured out of hidden hangars, swarming the alien vessels like angry insects. The space around the colony burned with light and chaos. The Draxian commander roared in anger, ordering his ships to return fire. Powerful beams and plasma bursts lit the darkness, destroying some of the drones and striking human turrets. But the humans fought smart. They moved fast, hit from angles the aliens did not expect, and never stayed in one place long enough to be destroyed. The aliens were stronger in raw power, but the humans fought with cunning and traps. On the surface of the mining colony, civilians watched from underground shelters. They had been told to hide, to trust the defenses, but still they held their breath as the battle raged above them. Every explosion shook the walls, every rumble made children cry, but hope burned in their hearts. For the first time, humans were standing against the invaders, not as prey but as defenders who refused to bow. The Draxian fleet began to take real losses. One of their heavy cruisers exploded, ripped apart by concentrated missile fire. Another ship was crippled by railguns, drifting helplessly as drones tore it to pieces. The alien commander shouted for reinforcements, but there were none. He had believed this mission was easy and had not brought his full strength. Now he realized his mistake, but it was too late. His fleet was bleeding. His pride was bleeding. In the middle of the battle, a human warship appeared from hyperspace. Larger than the stealth ships, armed with new weapons, it moved like a predator among the chaos. On its bridge, the human commander gave a single order: push them back. The warship's cannons fired with thunderous force, punching holes into alien armor. Its presence lifted the spirits of the human fighters. The trap had been successful, but now it was time to strike harder. The alien commander tried to retreat, ordering his ships to pull back. But the humans had planned for this too. Hidden mines exploded in their path, blocking escape routes. Stealth ships cut off stragglers, forcing the aliens into the killing zone. Panic spread through the alien ranks. For the first time in centuries, the Draxians were not the hunters, they were the hunted. The commander's voice cracked as he screamed for order, but no one listened. Fear had entered their hearts. When the last alien ship fled into the darkness, leaving wreckage behind, the humans did not cheer. They stood in silence, staring at the burning pieces drifting through space. They had won the first real battle. They had shown the enemy that Earth was not weak. But they also knew this was only the beginning. The aliens would return with more ships, more fury, and greater power. The humans had drawn blood, and now war was certain. On the human warship's bridge, the commander watched the battlefield with cold eyes. He spoke to his officers in a steady voice. They thought we were weak. They thought this would be easy. But tonight they learned the truth. This is our home. This is our space. And we will not forgive. His words echoed across the fleet. The trap had been set, the first victory had been earned, and Earth had begun its revenge. The battlefield near the mining colony was quiet again, but the silence did not last long. Across human space, fleets were gathering, weapons were loading, and soldiers were preparing for the next stage of war. The victory at the colony had shown humanity's strength, but it had also sent a warning. The Draxians would return, and this time they would come with greater numbers. Earth's commanders knew they could not simply defend forever. They had to strike back. They had to show the aliens that humans were not prey hiding behind walls but hunters capable of attacking their enemies where it hurt. The order was given. The first human counterstrike was ready to begin. The fleet launched from Mars orbit, a combination of stealth frigates, drone carriers, and newly built warships. Their mission was clear: find the Draxian supply lines, destroy their logistics, and cripple their forward fleets before they reached more colonies. The human commander of the operation, Admiral Reeve, stood on the bridge of his flagship with sharp eyes fixed on the star maps. He knew they could not win in a fair fight. The aliens had more ships and more firepower. But humans had something better: surprise and strategy. Reeve planned to use every trick humans had ever learned from centuries of war. He would not fight the aliens head-on. He would cut them piece by piece until the hunters became the hunted. Meanwhile, in the depths of space, the Draxian admiral received word of his fleet's defeat at the mining colony. His face twisted with fury. He called humans reckless animals who dared to fight above their station. He swore to burn their colonies to ash and make their children slaves. To prove his strength, he ordered more ships to gather. A massive war fleet began to assemble, thousands of alien warriors eager for revenge. But as they prepared to march forward, they did not know that human eyes were already watching. Human stealth ships had shadowed the Draxians for days, hidden by experimental coating and electronic tricks. They mapped every movement, every supply ship, every weak point in the alien formation. When the human fleet finally struck, it was like a storm from the shadows. At the edge of an uninhabited star system, a convoy of alien supply ships drifted in formation, carrying weapons, fuel, and reinforcements. Suddenly, missiles erupted from the darkness. The first alien freighter exploded before it even realized it was under attack. Drones poured out from hidden carriers, tearing into the convoy. Alien escorts scrambled to defend, but the humans struck fast and vanished just as quickly, leaving wreckage burning in their wake. The Draxian admiral roared with rage as he received news of the ambush. He sent warships to hunt the attackers, but each time they chased, the humans slipped away. Every time the aliens thought they had cornered their prey, they found only empty space. And then, another supply ship would vanish. Another freighter would burn. Slowly, the mighty alien fleet began to feel hunger, fuel shortages, and doubt. The hunters were bleeding, not from one great battle but from 1,000 small cuts. Admiral Reeve watched his plan unfold with steady resolve. He knew every raid made the aliens weaker. Every destroyed supply ship meant fewer weapons pointed at Earth. His officers praised the victories, but Reeve reminded them this was not enough. The time would come when they would face the main fleet, and in that moment, they would need all the strength and courage humanity could gather. The war was no longer hidden from the people. Across Earth and its colonies, reports spread of human fleets striking back, of alien convoys destroyed, of victories where once there had been only fear. Pride filled the hearts of millions. Volunteers lined up to serve, scientists worked harder than ever, and the will to resist grew stronger. Humanity had tasted blood, and now they wanted more. But while humans celebrated, the Draxians plotted their revenge. The alien admiral refused to accept defeat. He summoned his greatest warships, massive vessels armed with weapons that could shatter moons. He told his warriors that humans had dishonored them and that their empire's pride demanded total destruction. His fleet turned toward Earth with unstoppable speed. As human scouts reported the size of the approaching armada, silence fell in the war rooms of Earth. Even the bravest officers felt the weight of fear. The enemy was larger than anything they had ever imagined. It was not just a raid or a strike. It was a full invasion. But Admiral Reeve's voice cut through the silence. He said they would not bow, they would not run, and they would not surrender. They would fight with everything they had. The officers stood straighter. The plan for the final defense began to form. In the quiet before the storm, Reeve looked at the stars beyond the viewport. His words were calm but fierce. They thought we were weak. They thought we would kneel. But now they know. This is not the end of humanity. This is the beginning of their fear. This is Earth's revenge. The captured alien warship floated in orbit above a barren moon, its black hull scarred from battle. Human engineers and soldiers moved carefully through its corridors, scanning every room, every piece of technology. For the first time in history, humanity had taken an enemy ship intact. Inside its walls lay answers, secrets that could change the entire war. Admiral Reeve stood in the command chamber of the wrecked vessel, watching as technicians connected human systems to the alien computers. The screens flickered with strange symbols, patterns that looked like claws scratched into metal. At first, no one understood, but slowly, translation programs began to decode the language. What they found made even the bravest soldiers grow pale. The files revealed that the Draxians had done this many times before. Humanity was not their first target, not their second, not even their 10th. For centuries, the Empire had moved from star system to star system, crushing younger species under their rule. They had enslaved entire worlds, stripping resources, burning cities, and leaving nothing but ashes. Civilizations that once dreamed of peace and progress had been erased from history. The Draxians had destroyed them all. But there was more. Reports inside the ship showed arrogance beyond measure. The aliens did not even see humans as a real enemy. In their logs, Earth was described as a testing ground, a place to practice war before facing stronger prey elsewhere. To them, humans were insects. The room grew silent as the truth sank in. Humanity was not facing a single invasion. They were facing an empire that had done this countless times, an empire that would never stop until Earth was broken. Yet in that silence, anger grew. One officer slammed his fist against the console. Another shouted that they could not let this fate repeat. Admiral Reeve raised his voice above them all. He said the Draxians had underestimated humanity from the beginning, and that mistake would be their downfall. He told his officers that humans had something the aliens had never faced before. They had unity, they had history, and they had the will to fight to the last breath. If Earth fell, it would not fall alone. It would burn the enemy with it. The soldiers nodded, their fear turning to fire. At the same time, scientists on Earth examined alien technology recovered from the ship. They studied the engines, the weapons, the armor, and slowly, piece by piece, they began to adapt it. Within weeks, human ships carried hybrid systems, human creativity fused with alien power. New shields, faster drives, and stronger weapons gave humanity a chance to face the Empire on equal ground. The more they learned, the more they realized the Draxians were not gods. They were powerful, but not invincible. And that realization spread across the colonies like light in the dark. The leaders of the Human Federation gathered again, this time not to argue in fear but to plan with determination. They listened to the reports from the captured ship, and they knew the truth had to be shared. Across the networks, a message was broadcast to every colony, every station, and every family. The words of Admiral Reeve echoed through the stars. The enemy sees us as prey. They have destroyed others before us. But they were wrong to come here. We are not prey. We are not weak. We are human. And we will fight back until the last star burns. The message spread farther than expected. Other alien species, hidden and silent for fear of the Empire, heard it. For the first time, they knew someone had struck the Draxians and survived. The Draxian admiral received the broadcast as well. His rage boiled as he listened to the human words. He smashed his claws against the command table and swore that Earth would pay for this insult. He declared that the full force of the Empire would descend upon the solar system. Every ship, every soldier, every weapon would burn the humans to ash. His fleet gathered like a storm, black ships filling the void, banners of war raised high. He believed he was bringing fear. He did not realize he was bringing proof to the galaxy that the Draxians could bleed. Meanwhile, in training grounds across Earth, soldiers repeated the words of Reeve as if they were scripture. Pilots prepared their ships with grim smiles. Families whispered them to children hiding in shelters. The message had become more than strategy. It had become a promise. Humanity would not only defend itself. Humanity would rise to lead. Humanity would show the galaxy that Earth's revenge was not just against the Draxians but against the very idea that humans could be broken. As the final preparations for battle continued, Admiral Reeve stood once more at the window of his flagship. The stars outside looked cold and endless, but his heart was steady. He thought of the civilizations erased by the Empire, the voices lost forever in darkness. He whispered to himself that humanity would not join them. Humanity would endure. And when the final war came, Earth would not fight only for survival. It would fight for every world that had fallen before, for every species that never had the chance to resist. The truth was revealed, and it was heavy. But with that truth came strength. For now humanity knew its place in the galaxy. Not as prey, not as victims, but as warriors whose story was only beginning. The Draxian armada arrived like a storm at the edge of the solar system. Thousands of alien warships filled the void, their black hulls stretching across the stars, their engines glowing like fire. It was the largest fleet humanity had ever seen, a wall of steel and power that could crush entire worlds. On the flagship of the alien admiral, banners of conquest shone as he raised his claws and declared that Earth would fall, that its people would bow, and that the memory of humanity would vanish like dust. His soldiers roared in answer, their voices echoing with arrogance and hunger for blood. They believed the end was near. But as they advanced, the trap of humanity waited in silence. Admiral Reeve stood on the bridge of his flagship, calm but fierce, his eyes fixed on the star map of the solar system. Around him, officers worked with steady hands, pilots readied their ships, and soldiers whispered silent prayers. Every planet, every moon, every asteroid had been prepared for this moment. Mars defense cannons were armed, railguns hidden inside asteroids were powered, and drone swarms slept inside dark hangars waiting for release. Earth itself had become a fortress, a world sharpened into a weapon. Reeves' voice carried across the fleet as he spoke to his people. He told them that the enemy thought humanity was weak, but tonight the galaxy would see the truth. We are human. We are the children of Earth. And we do not kneel. The alien fleet entered Mars' orbit first, firing a storm of plasma beams at the human defenses. Explosions shook the red planet as dust and fire rose high. But then the ground split open, revealing massive cannons hidden deep beneath the crust. Energy blasts surged upward, striking alien ships with thunderous force. Railguns fired from craters, tearing holes into enemy armor. The aliens roared in surprise, their formation breaking as they realized Mars was not defenseless. At the same moment, swarms of drones launched from hidden bases, rushing into battle like a black cloud of steel and fire. The fight spread across the solar system. Human stealth ships decloaked from the shadows of asteroids, striking supply vessels and command ships. Alien warships tried to regroup, but mines hidden in the asteroid belt detonated, ripping their ranks apart. The sky burned with light as missiles streaked through the darkness, followed by railgun slugs and energy beams. The Draxian admiral growled with fury, demanding his warriors push forward, but for the first time, his commands carried a note of fear. The humans were not collapsing. They were striking back with everything they had. Near Jupiter, a massive clash erupted as the alien fleet's heavy warships met the core of the human armada. The humans fought with desperate courage, weaving between enemy fire, launching counterattacks, retreating, and striking again. Hybrid weapons built from captured technology tore through alien shields. Human warships fell one by one, but they took alien giants down with them, explosions scattering wreckage across the void. Every death was a sacrifice, every sacrifice a blow to the enemy. On Earth, billions watched the battle through trembling broadcasts, their hearts pounding with fear and pride. At last, the alien flagship reached Earth's orbit. The admiral stood tall, his claws raised, and he ordered the final strike. Massive cannons glowed, ready to burn the blue planet below. But before the weapons could fire, Earth answered. From hidden silos across the moon, a network of defense beams ignited, lancing into the flagship's shields. From Earth's surface, railguns shot upward, guided by AI, targeting the same weak points again and again. The flagship shook under the assault. Its armor cracked. The admiral roared in disbelief, screaming that this was impossible, that humans were not supposed to be this strong. Then Admiral Reeve gave the final order. All batteries, fire. The human fleet, the drones, the railguns, the asteroid cannons, and the lunar defenses all struck at once. The sky above Earth lit with a blinding storm. The alien flagship shattered in a roar of fire and metal, breaking apart as its core exploded. The shockwave echoed through space, and for the first time in centuries, the Draxian Empire's greatest warship was gone. Silence fell across the enemy fleet. Fear spread faster than fire. Ships broke formation. Some tried to retreat, others fought without order, but the humans pressed forward, relentless and merciless. One by one, the alien vessels were destroyed, chased, and hunted. The hunters had become the prey. When the last Draxian ship fled into the dark, Earth stood scarred but unbroken. The skies were filled with wreckage, the planets bore wounds, and many brave souls had fallen, but humanity had survived. More than survived, they had triumphed. In the war room of his flagship, Admiral Reeve looked at his officers. His face was tired, but his voice was steady. They thought we were weak. They thought we would bow. Now the galaxy knows the truth. We are human. We fight back. And we win. His words spread across every channel, across every colony, across the stars. The war was not over. The Draxian Empire still existed, wounded but not destroyed. Yet from this day forward, the galaxy would remember Earth's stand. Other species, once silent in fear, now watched with hope. Humanity had risen not only to defend itself, but to show the universe that tyranny could be broken. The revenge of Earth had begun, and its story was only the first chapter of a greater destiny.